Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of 2nd Maccabees, the 2nd chapter. It is also found in the records that Jeremy, which is Jeremiah, the prophet, commanded them that were carried away to take of the fire, as it hath been signified. So, during Jeremiah's time, this is referring to those that were sent captive to Babylon, right? And he commanded them to take some of the fire. So, if they would do any sacrifices or anything over there, they could use that. And how that the prophet, having given them the law, charged them not to forget the commandments of the Lord, and that they should not err in their minds when they see images, which is idols, of silver and gold with their ornaments. So going into Babylon, they should keep the laws of the Lord in their mind and in their heart, and not to go astray after seeing and being exposed to the idols over there in that land. And with other such speeches exhorted he them. I think that's in the book, the letter of Jeremiah, that the law should not depart from their hearts. It was also contained in the same writing that the prophet, being warned of God, commanded the tabernacle and the ark to go with him. Slaki. Now, this is dealing with the actual tabernacle that they had in the wilderness. Because remember, King Solomon ended up building the actual temple, but they still had the tent, right? The materials of the actual tabernacle. And as it says here, the ark. So he commanded to take it with him, and he went forth into the mountain. Now, he commanded because he wasn't going to be carrying all that, right? So he had men that would carry it, and they went with him into the mountain where Moses climbed up and saw the heritage of God. Remember in the book of Deuteronomy, the Lord, before Moses died, the Lord commanded him to go up to that mountain. I forgot the name of it, but to stand there and to see the land. Since he wouldn't be able to go into it, he would be able to see it. And when Jeremiah came thither, he found an hollow cave, wherein he laid the tabernacle and the ark and the altar of incense, and so stopped the door. So he rolled like a stone, a blocker, to seal that cave. And some of those that followed him came to mark the way, but they could not find it. So they try to basically leave like a trail so they can know where it is. But when they came, they couldn't find it. Which when Jeremiah perceived, he blamed them, saying, as for that place, it shall be unknown until the time that God gather his people all again together and receive them unto mercy. So until the Lord gathers his people and brings them back, nobody's going to know where that ark is. Then shall the Lord shew them these things, and the glory of the Lord shall appear, and the cloud also, as it was shewed under Moses, and as when Solomon desired that the place might be honorably sanctified. So, just like the Lord had his chariot or his cloud appear in the wilderness during the time of Moses, and when Solomon dedicated the temple, and Jeremiah is saying here, there will come a point where the Lord would basically show his appearance again via that form when he gathers his people together and brings them back. It was also declared that he, being wise, offered the sacrifice of dedication, dealing with King Solomon, and of the finishing of the temple. And as when Moses prayed unto the Lord, the fire came down from heaven and consumed the sacrifices, even so prayed Solomon also, and the fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offerings. And I believe there's an account of this in Leviticus 9, the last two verses that deals with how the fire of the Lord. Let me just see if I can just pull it up real quick. And there should be one in the book of Kings as well, concerning Solomon, the Lord kindling that fire during the time when Solomon dedicated that temple. So this should be Leviticus 9. All right, this is Leviticus chapter 9, verse 23. And Moses and Aaron went into the tabernacle of the congregation and came out and blessed the people. And the glory of the Lord Yahweh appeared unto all the people. And there came a fire out from before the Lord and consumed upon the altar the burnt offering and the fat, which when all the people saw, they shouted and fell on their faces. So there's the account there. And like I said, there should be one in the book of Kings of the time of Solomon, if you're interested or curious about it. It was also, verse 9, it was also declared that verse 11. And Moses said, because the sin offering was not to be eaten, it was consumed, right? And this is dealing with, there were certain sacrifices, right? When you go into the scriptures, if it was a sin offering, I think for the high priest or for the congregation, then it would be burnt, right? You wouldn't eat of the body of the animal of that sin offering. But if it was like just like a regular sin offering from somebody, an individual, that would be eaten by the priest. So the ones that were not to be eaten would be completely burnt. So Solomon kept those 8 days, which I believe was the Feast of Tabernacles. The same things also were reported in the writings and commentaries of Nehemiah's, and how he founding a library gathered together the acts of the kings and the prophets and of David and the epistles of the kings concerning the holy gifts, which are offerings unto the Lord. In like manner also Judas gathered together all those things that were lost by reason of the war we had, and they remain with us. That's Judas, because remember the Lord used him to lead Israel in these battles. So after they had conquered and won and gained those areas, those cities back, the information, right, the records and stuff that were lost, they gathered the ones they could. Wherefore, if ye have need thereof, send some to fetch them unto you. So if you need some of these records, or you can send, some people to come and get it. Whereas we then are about to celebrate the purification, we have written unto you that ye shall do well, if ye keep the same days. We hope also that the God that delivered all his people and gave them all in heritage, and the kingdom, and the priesthood, and the sanctuary, and he promised in the law, will shortly have mercy upon us, and gather us together out of every land under heaven into the holy place. Because remember, this was spoken of by the prophets. For he hath delivered us out of great troubles, and hath purified the place. Now as concerning Judas Maccabeus and his brethren, and the purification of the great temple, and the dedication of the altar, and the wars against Antiochus Epiphanes, and Eupator his son. Now this is the author of 2 Maccabees. These are his words here. He went into the letter that was sent from the Jews in Jerusalem or Judea to Egypt, and now he's mentioning, okay, concerning the other stuff, right? This is how we're going to go about it. It says here, verse 21, and the manifest signs that came from heaven unto those that behaved themselves manfully to their honor for Judaism, right? Those that stood up and fought for their nation, so that being but a few, they overcame the whole country and chased barbarous multitudes, right? By the wars that they won, and recovered again the temple, renowned all the world over, and freed the city and upheld the laws which were going down, the Lord being gracious unto them with all favor. All these things I say, being declared by Jason of Cyrene in 5 books, we will essay to abridge in 1 volume. So the author of 2 Maccabees is letting you know, all these accounts were declared by Jason of Cyrene in 5 books. We're going to abridge that, compress it, right? Touch on the main points into 1 book. That's where you have 2 Maccabees. For considering the infinite number and the difficulty with which they find that desire to look into the narrations of the story, for the variety of the matter, we have been careful that they that will read may have delight. So they're saying it was, the difficulty and time and all that to go into the details of the matter, the things that happen, and narrate it correctly. In doing what they're doing, they've been very careful so that when you read it, it's easier for you and you can understand it, right? And it's more pleasing for you to read because they've done all the heavy lifting. And that they that are desirous to commit to memory might have ease. So that's why they abridged it. So it's not an overload of information. And that all into whose hands it comes might have profit. Therefore, to us that have taken upon us this painful labor of abridging, it was not easy, but a matter of sweat and watching. Because they had to go through this, they had to verify that, they had to, so as they're saying there, this was, not an easy thing to do. All right. So now, and like I said, abridged is like a shortened version, but I'm going to type it in here just to get some synonyms anyway. So abridged, when you abridge something, it says here, a piece of writing having been shortened. Pretty straightforward. Cut down, concise, condensed. Okay, so where we at? Verse 27. Even as it is no ease unto him that prepareth a banquet. So here they're likening the labor of going through those 5 volumes, cross-checking things, abridging it correctly. The labor of that is like one that prepares a banquet and seeketh the benefit of others. Yet for the pleasuring of many, we will undertake gladly this great pains, right? Because, you got to prepare this, you got to make sure this is here, this is good, so that those that come to the banquet or those that come to utilize what you've prepared, it's seamless for them. Leaving to the author the exact handling of every particular. So he's saying we'll leave the details to those 5 volumes that Jason wrote and laboring to follow the rules of an abridgment. But we'll abridge it. We'll do it the right way in the shortened version. But if you want more extra details, we'll leave that to what the author wrote. For as the master builder of a new house must care for the whole building, but he that undertaketh to set it out and paint it must seek out fit things for the adorning thereof. Even so, I think it is with us. So stand upon every point, to stand upon every point and go over things at large, and to be curious in particulars belongeth to the first author of the story. So to give you every single detail and go into depth of every event that happened and give you exact particulars, that belongs to the first author. We'll leave that to him. But to use brevity, to keep it brief, and avoid much laboring of the work, is to be granted to him that will make an abridgment. So somebody that's condensing or abridging this work, their job is to keep it brief and avoid all that extra work. Here then will we begin the story, only adding thus much to that which hath been said. That is, it is a foolish, so it's saying, okay, now we're going to actually, go into the account, the historical account, story. But we're just going to add one more thing to say, which is that it is a foolish thing to make a long prologue and to be short in the story itself. They're like, all right, let's get into it. We're going to get into it. It doesn't make sense to have a super long prologue and then the actual content is like super short. So with that, let's get into the actual history, basically is what they're saying. And that brings us to the end of the book of 2nd Maccabees, the 2nd chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.